Opening. Infidelity doesn't strike like lightning. Let's be honest with ourselves. No one wakes up one morning and says, "Today, I think I'll betray someone who loves me." That's not how infidelity works. It's not sudden. It's not random. It doesn't crash through the door like a hurricane. Instead, it leaks in. Slowly. Quietly. Like a roof with a crack you never patched. Drip by drip. A missed text message here. A hug that suddenly feels formal. A cold glance that lingers just a second too long. And the worst part? You don't even notice it. Because you're caught up in life. Bills, work, stress, responsibilities. You tell yourself, she's tired. She's just overwhelmed. You explain it away because denial feels safer than confronting the truth. Main point: the signs were always there. Here's the uncomfortable truth. Cheating never arrives without warning. There are always footprints, emotional shifts, subtle changes in routine, growing silence. But many men don't follow those tracks. Not because they're blind, but because acknowledging them means facing a truth they're not ready to handle. That she may already be halfway gone. She pulls away emotionally before she ever touches another man. That's when it starts. In the quiet, in the emotional distance, in the moment she stops turning toward you for comfort and starts looking elsewhere. Whether it's a person, a fantasy, or just the idea of escape. Conclusion: emotional distance is the real beginning. Cheating doesn't begin in a hotel room. It begins in a quiet kitchen where no one talks anymore. It begins in your bed, when she turns away instead of toward you. And most men? They feel it in their gut. They know something's changed, but they tell themselves stories to avoid the pain. She's just going through something. It'll pass. But the truth? Infidelity doesn't arrive overnight. It's built brick by brick, from detachment, from unspoken resentment, from silence. And by the time you're ready to see it, she's already emotionally gone. The first sign: her attention quietly shifts. Opening: she's still there. But not really. You see her every day. She sits across the table. She answers your texts. She sleeps in the same bed. But something's different. Her smile, once automatic, now forced. The warmth in her voice, now cooled to short replies. And when you speak, you're not sure if she's listening or just waiting for the conversation to end. It's subtle, almost invisible, but deep down, you know, she's still there, but it's no longer really her. Main point: the disappearing attention. This is where it begins. Not with cheating, not with lies, but with disconnection. She stops asking how your day was. She stops noticing the little things: your new shirt, the stress in your eyes, the way you linger in silence hoping she'll ask, "What's wrong?" Instead, she says, "You're overthinking. I'm just tired." And maybe she is. But maybe she's somewhere else, emotionally. With someone. Or with the idea of someone. Or simply with a version of herself she hasn't been in a long time. This isn't about blame. It's about emotional drift. The quiet shift that happens before a partner ever walks away physically. When her attention starts going elsewhere. That's the first crack in the foundation. And cracks, left unattended, always spread. Conclusion: the hidden wound of disconnection. This is why so many men say, "I didn't see it coming." Because they were looking for fireworks, not silence. They expected betrayal to be loud. But real betrayal? It whispers. When she stops seeing you. when her laughter dies in your presence, when her mind drifts even while her body stays. That's not just distance. That's the first betrayal. It's easy to dismiss it, to think it's just a phase. But if her attention no longer lands on you, it's already landing somewhere else. The second sign, she begins to hide small things. Opening, silence isn't always peaceful. At first glance, everything seems quiet. She doesn't argue. She doesn't complain. She doesn't question you like she used to. But this isn't calm. It's not comfort. It's distance, silent, growing, and dangerous. There was a time she'd tell you everything. The annoying coworker. The funny thing that happened at the grocery store. The little details of her day that made you feel like part of her world. Now, that world is becoming a closed door. Main point, small secrets. Big implications. Let's look closer. The signs aren't loud. They're subtle. Her phone, once left unattended on the kitchen counter, is now always face down or locked. She takes it with her, even to the bathroom. She used to talk while texting. Now, the screen lights up, and she quickly flips it away. And when you ask, even gently, she gets defensive. Why are you acting paranoid? You don't trust me anymore? It flips, you become the problem. But the truth is, her behavior changed first. These aren't just about a phone. They're about boundaries being redrawn without your consent. There's now a space you're no longer invited into. And in relationships, secrecy isn't privacy, it's division. This is when a second world begins to form. One where she talks, laughs, and shares, but not with you. One foot is still in the relationship, but the other is already drifting away. Conclusion: when small walls become emotional fortresses, we often think betrayal comes in one dramatic moment. But it rarely does. It begins in silence. It hides in routine. And it grows in the small things we choose not to question. So ask yourself, is she pulling away or protecting something? Is the quiet just quiet, or the start of goodbye? When the little things start disappearing, don't wait for the big things to collapse. Because by the time you notice the distance, she may already be gone. In every way but physical. The third sign, when intimacy disappears or distorts. Opening, when the body stays, but the mind is gone. Have you ever looked into the eyes of someone lying next to you and felt like you were staring into a stranger? They're right there. Same bed, same touch. But something's off. That's not just in your head. It's one of the most telling, yet often overlooked, signs of emotional detachment. The fading or distortion of intimacy. Main point: emotional disconnection hiding in physical proximity. Let's be clear, true intimacy isn't just physical. It's emotional resonance, shared vulnerability, a sense of safety and closeness. But when that bond begins to erode, you might notice one of two extremes. Complete withdrawal. The affection disappears. Kisses become routine, or vanish entirely. Touch feels cold, mechanical. There's a growing discomfort, like the presence of your hand is suddenly unfamiliar. Sudden intensity, or the opposite. Suddenly, she becomes more passionate, even experimental. But it doesn't feel like reconnection. It feels performative, like she's overcompensating, masking guilt, or distracting both of you from a deeper absence. Ask yourself, does the closeness feel comforting or confusing? Do you feel connected or just tolerated? Sometimes, sex becomes a chore. just something to check off. A performance, rehearsed and hollow. A redemption, a desperate attempt to erase emotional damage. Whatever form it takes, the truth is the same. It no longer feels real. Conclusion: when intimacy becomes an illusion, intimacy, when genuine, brings two people closer, not just physically, but soul to soul. So when it starts to vanish, or transform into something unrecognizable, it's not just a phase. It's a symptom, a sign that her mind, and maybe her heart, are slipping away from the relationship. Don't ignore that feeling of unfamiliarity, because sometimes the deepest betrayals aren't loud, they're quiet, hidden in moments that once felt sacred. And by the time the body goes cold, the soul may have already left. The fourth sign: you're no longer part of her future. Opening from us to me. There's a quiet moment that many people miss. A shift so subtle, it hides in plain sight. It's in the language. It's in the plans. It's when we becomes I. And suddenly, you're no longer part of the story she's writing for her life. You're not in the next vacation. You're not in the dream home. You're not even in the healing process. She's moving forward, just not with you. Main point: the disappearance of shared vision. In a healthy relationship, the future is built together. Plans are shaped by two perspectives, two sets of needs, one common direction. But when emotional detachment sets in, language reveals everything. We should try that restaurant becomes, I want to go there. Let's travel next year turns into, I've been thinking about moving somewhere new. This isn't just about grammar. It's about mindset. You'll hear talk about personal space, self-growth, healing journeys, phrases that sound noble, until you realize you're not included. And when you ask questions, where do I fit in? You might get vague answers. A forced smile. A change of subject. That's not an accident. It's a signal. Because in her mind, she's already untied the knot. She just hasn't said it out loud yet. Conclusion: a ghost in your own relationship. Being excluded from someone's future doesn't happen overnight. It starts with unspoken distance, unfolds through unshared goals, and ends when you're left chasing shadows of a life that used to be yours. You become a ghost, still present in the home, but absent from the dream. So listen closely. Watch the language, because when love is real, it invites you in. But when love is fading, you'll notice it pushes you out, quietly, consistently, and eventually, completely. The fifth sign: when you're no longer a priority. Opening from her number one to barely on the list. Let's be honest. Love isn't just about big gestures. It's about the small, everyday things, the check-ins, the follow-ups, the questions that show she cares. But what happens when those small moments disappear? When she used to ask, "How did your day go?" And now she barely remembers what you had going on. When she celebrated your wins, listened to your worries, and showed up, fully present, because you mattered? And now, you're just background noise. Main point: the shift in emotional investment. This isn't about her being busy. Everyone's busy. People in love make time. Here's how you know her priorities have shifted. Your life updates go unnoticed. She doesn't ask about your presentation. She forgets your job interview. She zones out when you talk about your passion project. She's present, just not with you. There's always time for social media, coffee with friends, or texting late into the night. But when it comes to you, she's tired, distracted, not in the mood. She flips the script. When you gently ask for more time, more attention, more presence, she calls you needy. Or worse, you're overreacting. But here's the truth we all need to hear. We make time for what matters. Attention is a currency. And if she's no longer investing it in you, emotionally, mentally, or physically, it's because her heart has moved somewhere else. Conclusion: you're not the problem. The priorities are. It's easy to doubt yourself, to think you're too sensitive, too demanding, too much. But maybe you're not asking for too much. Maybe you're just asking the wrong person to care. Because real love doesn't treat presence like an inconvenience. It treats it like a commitment. And if she's stopped showing up for you, you owe it to yourself to ask, how long will I keep waiting for someone who's already left, just not physically yet? The sixth sign: when criticism replaces compassion. Opening: when affection turns into annoyance. At first, it's subtle, almost unnoticeable. A sarcastic tone, a sideways glance. She sighs when you talk about your goals. She shrugs off your excitement with a cold, "That's nice." And you wonder, did I do something wrong? Because the same person who used to celebrate your quirks now treats them like flaws. The same shirt she once said looked amazing on you, now she says it makes you look immature. The jokes she used to laugh at, now they're met with eye rolls and silence. Main point: a shift in emotional framing. This pattern isn't random, it's calculated. It reveals a deeper emotional disconnection that often precedes betrayal or detachment. Let's break it down. Admiration turns into criticism. What she once admired in you, your ambition, your spontaneity, your passion, now becomes a source of irritation. Positive moments are minimized. Your successes are dismissed or overshadowed by constructive jabs. She no longer celebrates with you, she corrects, questions, or mocks. Negativity becomes a coping mechanism. Constant criticism isn't about helping you improve, it's about distancing. Because to justify leaving someone, people often begin to reshape the story they tell themselves. It's not that I changed, it's that he's just not right for me anymore. This rewriting of the narrative becomes a self-defense, a way to avoid guilt. And if they can paint you as too much, too sensitive, or not enough, then leaving doesn't feel like betrayal, it feels like necessity. Conclusion: recognizing the reframing before it breaks you. If you're noticing this pattern, understand, this isn't about your worth. It's about someone else trying to exit a relationship without having to carry the weight of accountability. They don't want to feel like the bad guy, so they make you question yourself, doubt yourself, shrink yourself. But you are not too much. You are not the problem. You're simply standing in the emotional exit lane, while they quietly pack up their empathy and prepare to walk out. So ask yourself, how long will I let someone tear me down just to make leaving easier for them? The seventh sign: the hidden beginning of infidelity. Opening: infidelity rarely begins with a kiss. Most people think betrayal begins in a hotel room, with a message, a touch, or a secret rendezvous. But the truth? It starts long before that, silently, subtly, emotionally. Infidelity isn't just a moment of weakness. It's often a long, quiet process. A process that begins the moment one person in the relationship stops trying. Core signs: the emotional withdrawal phase. Let's break down what this emotional drift often looks like. Not all betrayal is physical. Sometimes, it's in what's missing. Lack of emotional presence. She stops turning toward you at night. You still share a bed, but not the warmth. Her eyes don't search for yours the way they used to when something was funny, painful, or beautiful. No future planning together. There are no more vacations. No shared calendars. Conversations about the future are replaced with vague comments about needing space, growth, or time alone. Emotional investment elsewhere. She seeks something, excitement, validation, intimacy, but silently. You're still there physically. She's still polite. But the truth is, emotionally, she left long before anyone noticed. And that is the most dangerous kind of betrayal. The kind no one sees coming because it wears the mask of calm detachment. Conclusion. Courage is seeing the quiet truth. The hardest part of love is recognizing when it's no longer being returned. And often, we stay not because we don't see it, but because we hope we're wrong. But here's the uncomfortable truth. When someone stops trying, the relationship doesn't die all at once. It dissolves, one neglected touch, one unsaid apology, one avoided conversation at a time. So the message is this: be brave enough to notice when you're being emotionally abandoned, and be even braver to walk away before betrayal has a chance to finish writing its story. Because sometimes, the most powerful thing you can do is leave before someone else decides to break you. Final chapter. Wake up. Let go. Reclaim yourself. Opening, when the dream dies. Infidelity hurts for one reason above all. It doesn't just betray you. It kills the dream you both once built together. A shared vision. A future you thought you were walking toward hand in hand. And now, you're left standing alone in a place you were never supposed to reach by yourself. But here's something most people forget. Even if she changed, your love was real. Your loyalty? Real. Your effort? Deeply real. And that matters. Main body, the hardest truth to swallow. The real pain often doesn't come from what she did. It comes from what you ignored, quietly, repeatedly. You noticed the tone shift and stayed. You felt her distance and made excuses. You saw the signs, but hoped love would be enough to bring her back. Let's be clear. This doesn't mean you failed. It means you believed, and belief is not weakness. But now, it's time for something else. Conclusion. Choose clarity over confusion. This is your turning point. Don't blame yourself. Don't beg. Don't shrink to fit into a space she no longer wants you in. Choose clarity. Because staying confused, staying in emotional limbo, is where self-worth goes to die. Here's one final insight that reveals everything. The way she tries to fix the relationship says more than the way she broke it. If she still fights, you matter. If she checks out emotionally, avoids accountability, or moves on quickly, she's not rebuilding with you. She's already rebuilding without you. And when that happens, your job isn't to chase. It's to wake up, let go, and reclaim the life you almost gave away to someone who stopped choosing you. If this message hit home, don't just scroll away. Take a breath. Take your power back, then take the first step forward. Play button subscribe for more clarity, healing, and real talk. Bellhop bell, hit the bell so you don't miss what's next. And most importantly, share this with someone who needs to hear it. Because healing starts not when they come back, But when you come back to yourself,